my phone. Just looking at like my letterbox for what I watched, and again, that's kind of a good segue. I'm also on Letterboxd, which is kind of a movie social media. I'm at Duncan 8 Donuts, where I review and post what I watch. So if you ever want to jump ahead and not wait for an episode, you can kind of see what I'm going to talk about on there. But I figure I should just get into it. I started this week, quote unquote week, and I'm not going in specific days, but I'm started with The Spectacular Now. This is 2013. Young Miles Teller and I can never get her name right. Shailene, whatever her name is. Woodley, the one from the Divergent, whatever those movies. I had never watched them. They always look terrible, if I'm being perfectly honest. But uh, I only watched this because there was a couple stills from this that I saw that I liked. The movie itself, I I don't know why it's rated as a 3.2 out of 5 when it was not that good. Granted, 3.2 out of 5 is not that good, but like I figured it was going to be worse rated wise. Um, yeah, Miles Teller is just like this young, or yeah, like I think he's a senior doing the classic kind of douchey senior boy things in high school. Um, and she just pays the price for it basically throughout the whole movie. Um, I don't know. I feel like there wasn't enough like character development. I feel like he did not change that much at all. Uh, I saw the shots that I saw earlier to convince me to watch this, and I was like, great. But beyond that, I don't know. It was kind of a nothing movie. Like it happened. I watched it. I don't think I'll ever rewatch it. But it was I would say maybe an easy way to start out the week. It was definitely I think I watched this either super late at night or while I was doing laundry or doing something else where even when I didn't need to focus, I still picked up enough from the movie that made me understand it. Um, from there, I went to back to Star Trek because again, I'm trying to go through all of the newer movies because again, they're actually quite good. Spoiler alert! But the first one I thought was like a 3.5, maybe a 4. It really reinvigorated the franchise. It wasn't like this old fart kind of dorky thing anymore. Chris Pine, uh, Carl Urban, all of them are really good. The second one, good, not as good. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. What did I say about this? Again, this is a rewatch. I had seen this before. This came out in 2013. And I said, why is this so slow? Oh, what's his name? Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan. There are parts that I really liked it, and there are parts where his like abhorrently crazy, insane high cheekbones and him making weird faces with it just and he doesn't really have an upper lip. I know that's kind of like a British thing, but there's a couple parts where I know he's supposed to be like scary, intimidating, and he just looked comical, so it was kind of hard to step away from that. But I enjoyed it. It was a good rewatch. Again, these movies I could clearly see that like if I saw them in a theater with good sound, they'd be pretty fun. Uh, I mean the broken pieces of the Enterprise like rising out of clouds, like I said from the first one, to them going to meet like Klingons. This is gonna sound really nerdy, but Klingons on their home world. I don't know. It was a cool one. From there, I rewatched X-Men, the original from like 2000. I watched this because my brother and I, who also have a podcast together, we're called the Movie Bros. We pick one movie a week, we watch and discuss them. Uh, that was just the next movie on a random picker wheel that we chose. And if you want to hear an actual, like, truly in depth of maybe less in depth, more ramble and banter and all that kind of stuff, but I thought it was fun. Check out our episode on that, the Movie Bros. But Just a quick part for me. Very fun, lots of nostalgia. The outfits are ridiculous. The hair in the comics is crazy for Wolverine, and they somehow make it look pretty good. Like he actually looks like a cool cut on Hugh Jackman. This was, I think, his breakout role. He didn't really do anything prior to this, and then he only did this more or less for a long time. Yeah, really, really good time watching that. From there, I saw Raising Arizona. If you don't know what this is from 1987. This is young Nick Cage, young John Good. I mean, there's surprisingly a weird smattering cast in this. It's one of the Coen brothers. I think it's Joel, but not Ethan, I think is the other guy's name. What a absolutely insane movie this is. And everyone knows Nick Cage's bit of like being Nick Cage, like his craziness. He played the straight man, which was kind of an odd one. John Goodman is batshit crazy. Nick Cage's wife, who just wants a baby, and basically the plot is they steal a baby. And she used to be a cop, and he used to be a convict. It's a crazy movie, lots of fun. It was not at all what I was expecting. It was, yeah, I would recommend it. It was, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Pretty crazy time. From there, I went back and saw the third Star Trek, which is Star Trek Beyond, 2016. And it is produced by J.J. Abrams, but it was directed by the guy who did Fast and Furious, and I think it very clearly shows that. J.J. Abrams, especially for the first one, and some of the second one, had this more like grandiose outer space vibe, and the third one was fun, but it definitely felt more action movie. I mean, there was a motorcycle scene. There was more movement, I feel like, on a human level than on like a ship sci-fi level, if that makes any kind of sense. Again, still fun. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I would generally recommend it. Obviously, you see the first other ones first, but I feel like they could have done something different with Idris Elba. I mean, I don't want to say a spoiler, but again, this came out what are we 8 years ago. He's the bad guy, but for like 90% of the movie, he's all makeup up, so you can't even tell it's him, and his voice, like you could have had it be almost anyone else, and you wouldn't be able to tell. I wish he had a better chance to emote and just do more. He just seemed kind of not generic, but for lack of a better word, generic. So that's Star Trek Beyond. From there, I went and rewatched First Man. I was kind of feeling the sci-fi kick, kind of Netflix recommended. I've seen this before. This is, for so many reasons, this should be a grand slam for me, and it's good, but it's not that good. This is Damien Chazelle, the director who did La La Land, Whiplash. He's done lots of stuff that I really like. It's Ryan Gosling, who I really like. It's a period piece, which generally I like period pieces, like throwback stuff, especially space agey, like 50s, 60s stuff. The soundtrack is fantastic. It's beautifully shot. So I can clearly see, again, so much of this stuff. I feel kind of sad because I'm watching it at home, either on my laptop, on my phone, on a TV, and I can totally see why going to a theater makes a difference. I even wrote on my letterbox, if you don't see this on a big screen with good sound, you've made a mistake. And I get that Ryan Gosling, for many of his roles, tends to not overact, for lack of a better word. He's very subtle, or some people think he's just a robot and doesn't do anything. He's literally whatever. Either way, but this role, he's supposed to be a certain amount of that, but it was almost too much. I think or not enough. Excuse me. I think he could have emoted just a little bit more. Like, he's so cold throughout it. As Neil Armstrong, that some of the grandiose moments of like stepping on the moon and things like that, cool. But like, I feel like if he reacted at all, or at least more, uh, you'd feel that in the audience a little bit more. Like, his daughter dies, and he has one brief moment where he like almost breaks character and breaks down. Um, and they are subtly referencing it throughout the movie, but he's always just like stone faced. And I don't know. I feel like something else could be done with that. So that was First Man. Again, good. I would give this like 3.5, 4 stars. Uh, but it could be really great. So when I first saw trailers and stuff, I was like, oh, I am super down for this. The trailers look. I mean, if you ever have a second, you can watch that, and it feels much more intense and powerful than the actual movie was. From there, I watched High Fidelity, which is from the year 2000. It definitely looks like it's from the year 2000 or like 1999, 1998 when it was filmed. I watched this with a friend per their recommendation. I had never seen it. I've only seen a handful of things by John Cusack, and I feel like he kind of plays similar characters and things. And I think I might do a separate little conversation with my friend as a guest bro for the Movie Bros podcast for this. Um, all I will say is it's fun. It doesn't end how you want it to end, and I can see if I saw this in a more formative time in my life as a young man, making the mistakes and sometimes learning from them and sometimes not, it would definitely hit harder on me. Not that it's lost on me now. I could see how this could have been a pretty good hit to me. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, fun one. Definitely a fun one. Going from a fun one, yes, this was a movie heavy week, folks. I got 2 more to chat about. Yeah, there's lots of movie time this week. From there, I went to a little bit more serious, and not inherently better or worse, which is The True History of the Kelly Gang. This was released in 2019. If you look at the call sheet, which total misdirect, and the posters and stuff, this has got Charlie Hunnam, Russell Crowe, uh, the main guy who is actually Ned Kelly, which is I'll talk maybe a little bit more. George McKay. You might know him from 1917. Nicholas Hoult, who's been in tons of stuff. The marketing was super off for this. It looked and felt like it was going to be a like almost a shoot 'em up western like vibe, and that was not it in the slightest. It's not true history of the Kelly Gang. It should be true history of Ned Kelly. It just follows him throughout his life. The first like hour is him as a boy. Totally just didn't really. I mean, and Russell Crowe is only in the movie for about 7 minutes during the time he was a boy. They could have started at that point with Russell Crowe, and they could have shaved out probably maybe 40 minutes, and then progressed to where he's a man, and then he becomes quote unquote monitor. We went way more into depth of this in our Movie Bros podcast episode. That's why we watched this. This was the next thing on the picker wheel. The audio on that episode I know is kind of all over the place. We were in the same room, separate mics. Both folks were picking up both people, so there's echo. Yeah, it was just a good conversation, not a good recording. So I'm fine with the episode, but I can clearly see. I think with all things, every time you do something, you learn something new. So every time we do this, we're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Either way, sorry, that's a side ramble. But for this podcast, the cinematography was beautiful, but like very desolate. Which again, parts I think of Australia, which we were set in, are that way, and people just don't think of those parts of Australia. Granted, this was like the quote unquote the Badlands of Australia when the English was taking control of it. Uh, the last bit where he's quote unquote the Monitor, which is like the actual like rebel, super cool. Yeah, actually interesting, and he's also sort of narrating it via poetry over words. And then you find out at the end, the whole time it's really another guy reading his letters that he wrote to his son. The story itself was kind of choppy, and the flow was not great. Even if the story definitely wasn't linear, they could have the editing. I don't know. Something needed to be done to make it actually coherent. Would I recommend it? I think I would have to be very specific with the person I am recommending it to, and I think I'd have to be very clear with the person I'm recommending it to what it actually is. From there, I wrapped out the week last night. We also watched Logan Lucky. It was a rewatch for me, first time for Hayden. Steven Soderbergh writing. What a fun movie. What a weird world that we can live in where Adam Driver as a one-armed bartender, Channing Tatum, and Daniel Craig can do a heist movie around NASCAR. Like, it was just... Hayden kept looking, and we'll talk about this when we actually record our episode. Hayden kept looking for, there's something that needs to go wrong in the heist. And yes, I get that. So there's actually, like, reasons to tune in. And there were little things, but sometimes, like, it was just satisfying to watch the whole thing work out how it was supposed to work out. There's a bit at the end that definitely is super cute and kind of made me tear up. His daughter, Channing Tatum, is the main character, by the way. His daughter, who's like 5, is in a beauty pageant, and he finishes the heist just in time to get back to her pageant to watch her sing. She's gonna sing a Rihanna song. Also, they're in like the South. I think they're in North Carolina. But he walks in the back, like he's lit up from like the door opening, so he's like standing in the back of the auditorium where everyone else is sitting, and she sees him, and instead she starts singing Country Road, the Take Me Home Country Road. And at first it's just her, and then the whole audience is starting to like slowly sing it. I don't know, it's nice. And then the movie kept going. And then they're like, oh, let's sprinkle in a little Hilary Swank, a little Sebastian Stan, a little Seth MacFarlane, little random big characters throughout the movie. I don't know, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's such a if you try to explain A, the characters, and B, the concept to someone, it's pretty non-conventional, and I'm really glad that it happened. And I'm glad it's like I think I wrote this in my notes. Again, we're going to talk about this, Hayden and I, but it's such a weird pairing of cast members, but it all works really well in my opinion. So I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I saw it. That's a solid 3.5, 4. I'd say let's call it a 4 out of 5. For Logan Lucky. Who doesn't love a good heist movie? That's kind of almost a comfort watch at this point, at least for me. About you all, but that's just my feelings. And that's what I watched this week. What did you watch? Tell me. Things to watch, things to avoid. I feel like that was a good little ramble. I was trying to not be super long on any one specific one. That way, this thing wasn't going to be 30, 40, 50 minutes, because I feel like I could have broken down stuff a little bit more, but that's not really what I think this podcast should be. This is just a quick little update, quick little like, hey, watch this or don't watch this. Here's my thoughts real quick. I don't want this to be a video or it's not a video, an audio essay. That's not really what I would want to listen to. And yeah, 21 minutes. Yeah, that's good enough for me. That was Dunk's Movie Corner. This was, I think, the last week of August, I think. I don't know, everything's throwing together. work stuff is crazy, so it just seems like it's either I'm working or I'm trying to entertain a dog son that I have, or trying to watch a movie or two to kind of relax. Um, but I think work is going to get a little bit lighter here by next week. I've got some friend stuff on the books, which I'm looking forward to. I'm trying to go diving. Obviously, not as much as I used to. I used to dive like a couple. Like well, for work, I dive like 4 or 5 dives a week, and then I usually get at least one, if not two, fun dives in a week. That's crazy. I just can't do that. Um, but I'm at least trying to go diving once a week, which has been fun. I've been hitting a couple spots I haven't dove in a while. I think I've got some feelers out potentially. Maybe I'm going to check out some new spots. Um, yeah, if you're ever curious about that part of my life, leave a note. Maybe I'll start rambling about scuba stuff here at some point on its own separate thing. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Watch some movies. Tell your friends about movies. Share movies. I'll see ya in the next one.